Okay, hi again, everybody. Right now we are joined by Laura, who is a very old friend of mine. And so I'm just going to ask Laura to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name's Laura O'Neill. I am dialing in from Melbourne, Australia.
All right, Laura, before we I ask you some of my questions, I have three icebreakers, three silly questions to ask you first. Um, so my first question is, if aliens landed on Earth tomorrow and offered to take you home with them, would you go?
Oh no, no, no! I love
No.
my home. I love my house. I'm not going to outer space.
Okay. Um, what is your favorite food? I'll just ask you an easy one.
um, I am vegan. I don't eat meat, and I really love vegan lasagna.
Okay. And the third question, what's your favorite movie or TV show or song right now that you may be listening to, or all-time favorite?
Oh, in Australia, for anyone that's dialing in from Australia, there's a brilliant show called Old People's Home for 4-year-olds. And they connect 4-year-olds with these older people to build these relationships. And it's
Mhm.
very heartwarming. And I cry from joy watching it. It's very
Oh,
good.
what is it about? I should look that up.
Connecting young, old, and isolated elderly people that
Okay.
may be suffering loneliness or depression, and they put them together, like pair them up with 4-year-olds who are
Oh,
curious, joyful, funny, and exploring, and it just gives them health and vitality back, and a lot of nice
that's
connections.
very sweet. I should look that up. But thank you, Anne, for answering these questions and for giving us your time. But let's talk a little bit about your work with refugees. How did it start? How did you first get inspired to work with refugees? Where did that journey take you? Um, yeah,
Yeah,
you can start with
sure.
that.
I've always wanted to help people. When I was younger, I was working in humanitarian fields in Asia
Hmm.
Pacific for some time. And I wanted to do my master's in international development. So I had a stronger education to support people.
Hmm.
And during that course in
Yeah.
Sydney, my teachers were very, very passionate about refugees. And I knew about refugees, but I didn't realize how big the issue is. And they inspired me. So through my teachers, during that course, I volunteered in Christmas Island, which for those people from the south side of the world or are aware is a place that Australia would put asylum seekers.
Yeah.
And so after that experience, I was like, wow, I met so many amazing people from Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Sri Lanka, many places.
Hmm.
And I decided I wanted to keep working with refugees. So
Yeah.
I've worked in a detention centre in Darwin in the north of Australia. And then I went to Nauru and started working there with women and children, with single men, doing teaching, doing casework, doing program management, being an employment coordinator. So yeah, I started to volunteer and work in as many capacities as I could with refugees.
Yeah, that's really awesome. A friend of mine and I just were just talking before I get connected with you, and we were just saying how, just teaching the younger generation and younger students about refugees and the current issues in the world and what's going on. Just teaching them, talking them about it, and introducing them to that subject, how powerful that can be, and that
Mm.
kind of stays in their mind even if they can't go directly home and convince their parents to do something, that kind of stays on their mind, until they grow up. And I guess that's what happened to you as well, right? Because your teacher introduced you to this topic and
Yeah, we actually went with our teachers to India, to Delhi, and worked with UNHCR in Delhi, and they were very well connected with refugee issues there. And it was, yeah, very empowering to be led by some women that were very, very knowledgeable, passionate, and active in refugee support.
yeah. And Through the years, with all the refugees that you've worked, I know it must be very difficult to choose one experience that stands out, but if you were to think about one person or one event or one experience that really, had an impression on you, could you think of one instance?
Yeah, wow, it's very difficult.
You know,
I remember um, some Kurdish refugees that I met would do this dance where they would have like a white handkerchief or something in one hand, and they couldn't have any access to these kind of things, so they had to make do, and they did it with a tissue. And then they got all their brothers and their friends around and tried to create a culture while in the confines of these detention centers, which was very limited and very depressing and not much access to things. And they did this beautiful dance and wrote this poem about. It was a very heartfelt poem, and I'll always remember that.
hmm. And talking about refugees and community and giving hope to yourself, I also know that you organized some workshops, some yoga workshop with the help of your friends in Chisarua, which was a really fun experience for me and other guys at RLC and RLN. How did that start? Like, how did you come up with the idea to bring yoga to the refugee community in Chisarua?
Yeah, so as a co-founder of Same Skies, working with the different learning centers in Indonesia for many years, doing different workshops on teaching and training, I knew the community very well. It was actually my dear friends Sally and Marcella who were acro yogi professionals, and they contacted me and said, "Hey, we have this skill set. We know that you're connected with the refugees in Indonesia. What if we went and did acro yoga?" They were saying, acro yoga can teach people these kind of communications of boundaries, of trust, and it can be very healing without, saying words, just by doing these actions. And they said, "Oh, we'll do it, culturally sensitive, just the women, or, however it needs to be, we can adapt it." And I said, "Yeah, that's a great idea." And then we just came and made it happen.
Yeah, that was really awesome. Even though it was a very new concept and new activity for us, I'm sure like all of the guys enjoyed. Um, yeah, I know.
It was very
I
fun.
remember even for myself, it was awkward to do it. I have some pictures of it still, like all of us laying on the floor, closing our eyes.
Yeah. You got
um, yeah, but if you had the power, or if you were in a position to change something about, I guess Australia's policy towards refugees, what would you? I know there's a lot, a lot to change, but what would you change specifically, or what would you do differently?
Uh, well, yeah, I would just increase the quota of humanitarian refugees that we could
Mhm.
take in. It's just seems ridiculous. We, as a country, we pride ourselves on migration, and that our population always needs new migrants to come in to help Australia grow. And it
Yeah,
doesn't make sense at all, because in one sense we really want migrants, and in the other sense we have this tiny little quota that we would accept people through a safe pathway.
hmm,
Um, so yeah, it's a no-brainer. I would definitely increase that, because so many refugees that I've met over the years are incredibly intelligent, skilled, capable, experienced, smart humans that could contribute a lot. And people who may not have had an education or much of an experience at working in life, have the capacity to do that as well. And they just
yeah.
need a safe place to heal their trauma, gain some education and skills if they need to.
That's very true. And I guess as a closing statement, if you could tell one thing to the refugees, to the people who are still refugees right now, if you could tell them one thing, what would you tell them?
I admire you guys so much. I think the plight and the strength inside of you to be a refugee is incredible, and I know that you just never know what comes around the corner, and to stay strong and to stay with hope and to live in the moment, because you know, whatever your situation and your context is, we helped you guys create Refugee Learning Nest, Refugee Learning Center from nothing, from thin air. And now it's such a thriving, wonderful community. So wherever you are, you can make the most of it.
It's very true. Thank you so much for your wise words and your kind words, and also for your time, Laura. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Right. Have a good day.
All right. Bye.
Bye.